Well, it's an early start today. I was up at sunup, or just before sunup, packing my stuff and getting down in the river. So a few more people showed up last night too. One guy even came back and gave me ice and water. That was really nice. Just one individual wasn't so nice. A little spooky when you realize that most people in the world are really quite nice, and then some that aren't. Made it very uncomfortable to stay here. I'm used to being in the woods, and heck, everybody says, oh, bears are dangerous, and isn't it dangerous out there in the wilds in the far north? And no, it is not. Because what I dealt with last night was someone that was very unpredictable. And it's a good thing I have had work in dealing with people that... Oh, never mind. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. Get on the river. I gotta get out of this headspace. My mood today is kind of matching the weather. Kind of gloomy. I don't know. Kind of feel a little nauseous. I don't know why. It might be the weather. I suffer from bi-positional vertigo. So when the weather changes, I get a little dizzy in the head and a little nauseous. So that might be what's happening right now. I don't know. I wasn't on the map where I thought I was on the map. Well, I think this marks my halfway point to Chatham today. I think. Kent Bridge. Well, at least I flip a map anyway. These maps are amazing for this trip. Those guys I met 2 days into the trip, Chris and Andrew, from Thames River paddling routes, I think. Yes, I got it right. Yep, I'm about halfway to Chatham, where I've got myself a special place to stay for tonight. It's a bit of a surprise. I'm not telling you. Let's just say it's worth the paddle. There's a big spider web on the stick. This spider was huge. I don't like spiders. I don't like spiders or snakes. What it takes to love me. I want to be loved by you. Oh, and Christine, you're far from normal. And that's a good thing. The river keeps meandering around and around. You know, if it went straight, I'd be there long ago. Well, it wouldn't be as nice though. Would it? I'm going bushy. You know, it's a real trip when you forget what day it is. That was day 6, this is day 7. And I think after day 5, you don't really count the days. That's probably what's going on. Speaking of that, boy, I tell you, the average canoe trip right now for people, 2 nights. And I started out back in the 70s, the average was 10 days. Yeah, things change, right? We're busy, everybody's busy, and I get that. The only thing is that you don't really get comfortable and connected out here until day 5, I think. I mean, it's nice to do a weekend trip, it's nice to do a day trip. It's just that you really don't get really into the trip and be comfortable out here until you spend a few more days, a few more nights. Because this becomes your day-to-day routine, not what you have at home. Off the tangent once again. Oh, I tell you. had a motorboat go by me. Things are changing on the river. Well, you can tell I'm getting closer to Chatham. There's some houses. Actually, the houses started appearing just after a golf course upstream. And after that, the houses of the whole entire trip, that's the most houses I've seen. Oh, my old bones are cracking and sitting in his canoe all day. Whoa. Well, made it to Chatham, day 7, around 3 o'clock. Made good time. And now I gotta figure out where I'm staying tonight. This is gonna be good.
Welcome to Chatham, Kent.
See what happens? You just show up at Chatham, Kent, and someone's here to greet you.
Well, we're Canada's first welcoming community, so of course we'd be here.
And she's got a lovely accent too. This is awesome. Don't tell anybody. We're storing my canoe down by the river, just to be safe. I have connections in this town. Where are you taking me?
I'm taking you to the Retro Suites Hotel, Kevin. Probably the most finest, boutiquist hotel you've ever come across in your whole life. Right based down here in downtown Chatham. Won lots of TripAdvisor awards, recognised across the country certainly, but really internationally. Really over 50 themed rooms.
Is that where that stretch limbo was going?
That's not for you. There's a whole lot of history attached to the Thames River, from our First Nations to the War of 1812. Some of our Black History piece too, we're on stops on the Underground Railroad, so a lot of history attached to the river here. My favourite part of the river, I think, in all honesty, is probably around the whole Tecumseh Park area in downtown, because you kind of have the forks in the river there, which is obviously part of the 1812 story. But just the views that you can see from the park down the river and down towards downtown Chatham.
And how do you think the river's changing?
How do I think the river's changing? I think, don't know if I have an answer for you that. How do I think the river's changing?
She must be really deep in deep in thought right now. So I'm a little exhausted. I've been paddling in the sun all day. But she turned the engine off to answer that question.
I think people want to use the rivers more.
That was worth turning the engine off. Yes, very serious. This is definitely a different place.
So can you remember what she told you?
No, something about antlers.
Yeah, so can you see the antlers?
Oh, look, cool!
Are you sure you're not looking for a bike?
This is a crazy place. Look at this, look at this. Wow. They have a library. Oh. Wow. This is so... Yeah, that's an antler shantler. Yeah, antler shantler. It's been a long day. Don't look. Just keep walking. Ta-da! Whoa. This is amazing. Look at this.
Kevin, you've arrived.
Look at this. Wow, this is amazing. Look at this room. Look at this. Look at that. Yes, I think Chatham, Kent is a lovely place to visit.
Do you think a man is in need of a shower after 6 days on the water?
Oh my goodness.
Fabulous hotel. Fabulous room for you.
That's great, wow.
Yeah, you'll sleep well. Chatham Kent is actually recognised at a federal level by Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada as Canada's first welcoming community. So it's born off our ability to welcome and integrate new residents, but our history of welcoming new people to the community and providing refuge to people goes way back to the Underground Railroad and our black history and our heritage around black history, where escaped slaves from the US found refuge here in 3 key sites in Chatham Kent. So I think, you know, the connection, the affinity that people have in this community to the plight of others, I think the underlying friendliness of the community. It's a very agricultural, rural-based community, so our people are connected to the land, connected to the people, connected to their neighbours around them, and I think the very fabric of our community, the stories that we're connected to, are the things that a visitor and a resident kind of, it ties them to the community, that friendliness.
What's your favorite?
Depends on the day of the week, actually. Today it's Berry and White. Yesterday it was Full Blast. There's never a favorite.
Colin, what you doing up there?
Just trying to clean up so I can make your video look really nice. You know? That's my goal right now.
Hey, that's what I noticed as soon as I walked in. It's disaster zone. It's terrible.
I'm glad you could stop by, obviously, and yeah, check it out and see what we're doing here at Sons of Kent in Chatham, Ontario. Yeah, it's been nice to come home. I've worked at other breweries outside of this one, of course, but to come home and kind of plant our flag and build our brewery in our hometown's been really exciting.
What happened? Something just happened.
The refrigerator just kicked off.
Oh yeah, I was just worried that the beer was just being ruined because of the interview.
Yeah. No, it's not your fault. That's fair. You know what? Chatham has a lot of history, especially with the Thames, and Sons of Kent, we're Kent County, obviously the name comes from, and we're there's 4 partners, myself being one. We all grew up in Kent County. Obviously the Thames River has a lot of history, and it was really neat for me growing up, listening to my parents talk about the history of the river, obviously in the heyday in the 70s and the 80s when boats would come from all over the place to dock in the river and throw some pretty crazy parties. Where our brewery is located right now was once the old Cinema 6 in the heart of downtown Chatham, but prior to that, about 100 years ago, was Chatham's first automotive manufacturing company. So we used to build cars right here. So it's kind of cool being part of that history and being close to the river, and obviously having the river downtown Chatham close to the brewery, it adds some character to our city and some unique stories that we get to hear about too. So having that river downtown for people to go and visit, you know, or be able to canoe down like yourself, but creating more of a hub and using the river as a cultural destination component. So getting more people to use it and participate, and you know, going to check it out and being able to walk by the river or bike down the trails that go through the river, etc. But we really make the most of it, and I hope that the river is always healthy and prosperous for a long time. So obviously I go over the bridges every day and I kind of get to see things and where the river goes, and you know, for me, I really want to explore more of it, and I think this summer my goal is to go downstream and get down to Lake St. Clair and see if I can make it that far. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, you're inspiring me, you know.
Don't tell anybody. But I'm washing my dainties. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Oh. Oh.